Hi there. Welcome to Stories, a podcast by Acadium where we focus on the stories of our incredible users. People come to Acadium for a few different reasons. They might be looking to build new skills, whether that's for a career change or just to deepen their craft, or they might be looking to get some eager extra hands on their project or business. In any case, people come to Acadium to grow, and we find that our users often have amazing stories to tell about their journeys, and we're here to share them. Our guest today and first guest of the podcast is Erik Hernal. Erik is a graduate of Syracuse University and has spent the past couple of years building a pretty impressive foundation for a career in digital marketing. He's had a handful of different positions over the years and is currently the head of copy at Cleverly. Cleverly is a company that writes tested outreach copy and sends thousands of personalized messages to your dream clients on LinkedIn. Erik joined Acadium in June 2019 and has been a strong member of and a contributor to the community ever since. Erik, thanks for joining us, man.
Graham, thanks for the intro and, thanks for inviting me here.
Yeah, man, of course. So like I told you beforehand, the whole purpose of the podcast here is to focus on the members of the Acadium community and the stories that they have. We found that so many people in the community have interesting stories to share, and we're just here to facilitate that and share them. So we're here to talk about you today, man. As uncomfortable as that might be, we appreciate you taking the time to come and share your story. So why don't we jump back a few years to sort of like post high school? I know that you jumped into university right after high school. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And where'd you go to school? What'd you study?
So I went to Syracuse University. Initially, I was a health and exercise science major, which is kind of funny because now I'm in a marketing role, which had nothing to do with what I was studying. So I kind of found out about marketing, specifically like digital marketing and Gen M, as Acadium was formerly known as, during like my junior year of college. So, and I was thinking, hey, this is pretty cool, like being able to convince people online to buy something or to do a certain action. I thought that was pretty powerful, and that this is something that I wanted to learn, and that this is a skill that I thought would be valuable to businesses or an employer in the future. And so that's kind of how I started.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, you said something interesting, which I hear frequently, and I remember from my university days, where like you studied something that didn't end up turning into a career. How did you make the decision? We can talk about sort of like the transition into the marketing thing afterwards, but I'm curious to understand how that decision happened to sort of pick something in university. And then I guess, how did that sort of change over time for you to sort of realize, maybe this isn't something that is both interesting to me, but could also be something that I'd want to work into a career?
Yeah. So, going to college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I asked my parents, and just to give you a bit of background, I come from a very traditional Asian family. So it was either med school or something like physical therapy, which I was on the pre-PT track for. So I was like, okay, you know what, this seems like a good option. Let me try it. Let me see if I like it. So I went to school with that in mind. And then like from the classes I was taking, it really wasn't enjoyable for me. Like the human body is cool and everything, but I felt like I could be doing something that appeals to me more, right? So I started, searching like, hey, like marketing came into my mind just like randomly. And I was like, so I started searching on Google, like learn marketing online. And that's when I found Gen M, and I thought, hey, this is interesting, like using social media to convince people. So that's kind of how I started.
And then how did that transition out of university look? So you sort of learned or discovered that you wanted to learn more about marketing while you were in school. And it sounds like you took it upon yourself to start to build a bit of a foundation. So then through that, moving out of school, what did things look like for you? I know that you jumped into freelancing at some point. You had a few different jobs before ending up where you are today. What did that journey look like?
Yeah, so post graduation, I started thinking, hey, I'm learning all these skills. I want to be able to apply them and actually like work with real businesses on, trying to get them sales online. So I started with copywriting because, I thought I was a pretty good writer. And throughout high school, I enjoy writing. So I focused on really owning my craft, specifically with emails. So after college, I would try to apply for gigs on this platform called Upwork. It's a very popular freelance platform. So like in my free time, I would just go and apply for jobs and take really take anything that I would get. That's kind of how I started until I found Cleverly, which funny enough was on the Upwork platform, and I did a bunch of jobs for them. When they realized that I was local to LA, they invited me for lunch to learn more about kind of like my goals for the future, if I was willing to come in full time as their head copywriter. And eventually that's how I ended up here.
Cool. That makes sense. So this, I'm curious to understand a bit more about like, you leaving university and then starting to work as a freelancer. And I know that Gen M, well, it was Gen at the time, which is now Acadium, fit in there somewhere. Did you end up doing an apprenticeship at any point in time before joining Cleverly, or was that something that happened after Cleverly to sort of keep your skills up and keep honing your craft?
Yeah, so before Cleverly, I felt like I needed to master or learn different skills besides copywriting because that's what they originally hired me for, right? So I would just go and get apprenticeships. I think I had one with a personal development coach. So I was running her email campaigns, kind of driving traffic to her website, and another one for an Amazon agency. Um, working more on the product listing side and driving traffic through Google, which is paid search. So those were kind of stepping stones that really solidified some skills I had that I felt were lacking before transitioning full time.
That's super interesting. I actually didn't know that. I had sort of assumed that um, the apprenticeships that you went through were primarily for copy to try and get the job at Cleverly, but I'm learning
Mhm.
now that it actually sounds like it was something that you were using to upskill yourself. So you had the copy skills, but you wanted to learn a little bit more and expand your skill set, and that's what you used the apprenticeships for. That's right.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah, man. And then what's the work like at Cleverly now? Like, tell me a bit about the platform that you guys use and what your role looks like.
Yeah, so initially I was brought in as the head copywriter. So I would crank out these outbound messages on LinkedIn for clients, and that's what I would do the entire day. Just learn about clients and write persuasive messages to get them leads on LinkedIn specifically. Now, kind of, I'm more client facing, so I'm on the phone with clients, really trying to re-strategize with them. So, as you can tell, with all this COVID madness, the lines are blowing up in Cleverly. So I'm really spending a lot of my time just talking on the phone, not necessarily drafting copy from scratch, but figuring out ways, kind of as more of a consultant, on how to pivot amidst the pandemic and still keep the business running.
And how are you guys finding the process of adapting to remote work? Is that something that you were used to before COVID-19, or is that something that you have had to get used to, like many other companies out there?
Yeah, so initially we would go into the office. So I do miss the office bonding time. But I think as an internet business, where we're more able to adapt quickly because we work purely off the internet. So it's kind of built into our DNA. We're an agency. So remote work, transitioning to that was no problem for us.
And it must have been something that you were already pretty used to because you'd done apprenticeships before, and all the apprenticeships on
Yes.
Acadium are 100% remote. So that was probably nothing new for you. Had a lot of your freelance work also been remote work?
Yeah, so pretty much all of my freelancing work was done remotely. I would talk to clients, I would never meet them face to face. Also, the Acadium program, the accelerator program, is completely remote. So I do have experience, getting stuff done online. So no problem there.
And you're still a big member of that community, man. Like, I think one of the reasons that we were really interested to interview you first is because you've been through the program, the accelerator program. You've also done a couple of apprenticeships on Acadium, and you're still in the Slack channel supporting students who are going through the same process to try and build their foundation. And whether it's a career change that they're going through or they're trying to
Mhm.
start their career for the first time, you're sort of there as a supporting member, right?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on Slack there. I'm the community manager, so I'm kind of in charge of getting everyone to engage, really share their resources, help with getting jobs. So I'm pretty active there. I can't say enough about Acadium. I love being a part of the community, so it's a pleasure.
That's awesome, man. And how do you like how do you support those people? One thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you about briefly, and maybe sort of a closing topic, would be this idea of like, if you were to do it again, and I know that careers are a long thing, and we're always, well, not all of us, but I think a lot of people sort of think about the
Hmm.
stages, and you might be looking towards the next thing at some point soon. But
Hmm.
for people that are sort of like at the start of one of those transitions right now, which a lot of the people in the accelerator community and the Acadium community are. Um, what kind of advice do you give those people in the accelerator community? And then, sort of on the same token, like, how would you think about that for yourself? Because I imagine they're probably pretty closely related. Like, if you had to go back out there and make a change for yourself, how would you think about getting the skills that you need for the next step, and building relationships that you need to try and land the next job
Hmm.
that you want?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I had to go back, I would definitely go and take more action. Because a lot of the times, and I spoke about this in the Acadium program before, that I felt like I wasn't enough, or that I needed more skills. So I think an advice I would give to a younger self would be to just go in there, take the plunge, apply for that job, even if you think you're unqualified, and really just believe in yourself and your ability to learn things you're lacking, but also, to be willing to improve, in that if you're lacking in certain areas, there's always a way to improve that. So really having that growth mindset in really tackling your career, even your personal life, I think is the best advice I would give myself. And for those looking to make a career change, or having trouble kind of navigating life in general.
That's a great piece of advice, man. I appreciate that advice. I think that a lot of the people, I mean, friends in my own life, people that I know,
Hmm.
people on Acadium who are trying to take this next step, I see, you know, self confidence being one of the strongest indicators of success in trying to
Yes.
take that next step. And it can be a real limiting factor for people. But I think one thing that I try to tell people all the time is that, everyone should be confident in their abilities and confident enough to at least take the step, because
Hmm.
there are people out there on the other end who are willing to support you and help you cultivate those skills and build the skills that you need to get to the next stage. So I think that's an
Yeah.
awesome piece of advice, man.
Yeah, so in terms of like, believing yourself and really taking the plunge and going out of your comfort zone, I just think to myself, and it's, I do this every day. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the worst that can happen, really? It's like you get a rejection, but then that really, to me, that's like that's an experience, a learning experience that you can just take to make yourself better every day. So that's how I think of self-confidence and really going out of your comfort zone.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing that. And I know you got to head out here, so I just wanted to thank you for your time on behalf of everybody at Acadium and the community. Thanks for taking some time to share your thoughts, share a bit about your experience, and I know we'll be in touch in the future, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and thank you to the entire Acadium team. I really would not be here without you all, so thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Of course, man. Talk to you later.
Peace.